Hi everyone, my name's Melanie Simpson. I'm from the KIS Consultancy program at Uniting in the northeastern region of Melbourne. Once again, thanks for tuning in. The purpose of this video is to build on some of the practice ideas that I suggested in my previous video. This included teaching children how to request what they want in pro-social ways and also modelling what to do and say to help children with their peer relationships. This could be really relevant at this time because if we try to imagine what children may have been experiencing at home, this may not have included much need for them to ask what they want. Adults are really great at reading what children need and providing this. This is really responsive, but it doesn't require much independence or opportunity or need to communicate. Also, children may not have had to share or take turns much recently, including those few children that are with us at the kinder. This could make it challenging for some children when they return to a full group, which will obviously require lots of negotiation with others to get what they want. You'll know that high expectations are key in the provision of an inclusive program, as is providing specific supports. Today I'm going to focus on these specific supports. For me, this means my practice will need to be really individualised to the child. It'll need to be clear, it'll need to be contextual, and most importantly, explicit. I'll need to avoid abstracts and stick to tangibles when I'm planning for what I'm going to do and say. To help with some ideas, I'm going to give you a real world example. There's a child that I've worked with that needs specific supports, especially in relation to communicating with their peers. Let's call him Alex. That's not his real name though. Alex has a diagnosed communication delay and he also has a trauma background. He is very easily triggered when stressed, such as when he doesn't get what he wants. He struggles with communication and will often bite others to get what he wants. As teachers working with young children, we know that difficulties in communication can sometimes result in challenging behaviours, such as biting or hurting others. These behaviours may become learned strategies for successfully gaining children what they want. From this perspective, challenging behaviours kind of make a lot of sense, as why would you do something that doesn't work? Why use verbal communication when it's hard work, it's frustrating and often unsuccessful? Success is a powerful motivator and also predictor of future behaviour. If a child successfully gains access to what they want by biting, it's very likely that they will use that same strategy again in the future, as it results in the outcome that they are seeking. This is something to keep in mind. What does the child get out of the behaviour? So back to Alex. Alex is also very creative and loves building with magnet blocks. He's very specific ideas about which magnets he wants. Maybe he wants the red one or the triangle or the red triangle, etc. He builds amazing structures that everyone goes, wow. And I know that when Alex doesn't get the magnet that he wants, he can become triggered and bite others. Knowing what children want and what triggers them is critical in helping them learn to request appropriately. The first step in teaching children to request appropriately is getting involved in children's social play and setting up the environment. To avoid conflict between children when they are first learning to request or to share, we know it's best practice to provide multiples and to avoid novel items that everyone wants. Later on, when our children are refining these skills, we may want to provide novel items to promote decision making, perhaps with peers, but that's another video. When children are new to requesting, you can also set up play situations where you know the other person, maybe yourself or a child with a toy, will give it to the child when they request it. This minimises conflict and also guarantees that for success when the child asks for what they want using words or whatever you want to teach them. This practice will also require your presence and also your focus. You may need to make a plan for supervision with your team so you can really concentrate on the play. As you observe the child's play, look really carefully for behaviours that are indicators that the child may want something. They might be looking at another toy the child has, they might reach for that toy, they might attempt to ask, and when you see this, you can prompt them to request. You might say please, or you might use a key sign or a PECT card, whatever works for the child. With Alex, when I started working with him, he would snatch items from other children or bite them when they didn't give it to him. So I would make the rule really clear, no snatching, and I said this a lot. And I stayed close in order to teach Alex how to ask appropriately by prompting him, and I'd say please, and I wouldn't allow snatching or biting to get Alex what he wanted. So sometimes I had to block him to prevent this. Always remembering that I did not want this behaviour of snatching to work. I wanted new behaviours such as saying please to work for Alex. This would increase the likelihood that Alex would say please in the future because it resulted in what he was seeking. It's also very motivating to provide lots of praise and also social reinforcement when children ask appropriately. Perhaps a high five ahead with great work. You said please, and now it's your turn. If children really like adult or peer attention, this works really well. You also might like to encourage peers to promote requesting by perhaps inviting them to high five others when they say please. This is about drawing explicit attention to the skills and also socially reinforcing that behaviour. It might help to also keep in mind that learning to request is a process. Like any other skill, it will take time to learn. This is especially the case where challenging behaviours have a long history of successfully getting what children want. Understanding what does the child get out of the behaviour can help you develop strategies to reduce challenging behaviour. As the answer to how to help children with their challenging behaviour lies in understanding the function of that behaviour. As all behaviour has purpose, behaviour occurs as a means to get attention from either adults or peers, to escape an activity or situation that someone doesn't like, such as a group time or pack up, or to get access to an item, such as a toy, or it has self-symmetry or sensory reasons, such as hand flapping. To understand the function of a child's behaviour, you may use a ABC chart, and there's a link to one in the email. For example, using the chart, you might discover the child screams before group time, and then they are removed to an experience that they like. Therefore, the function of the behaviour is to avoid group time and access their preferred experience. You might then focus on teaching the child to request what they want, either verbally, such as no group time, puzzle please, or you might use a PECT card, and the child you might model how to point to the puzzle. This strategy might seem counterintuitive at first. You may worry that child is missing out through not joining in. Interestingly, schools are learning this does the opposite. Where children were skipping school, the teachers decided, in collaboration with specialists, to let children go home if they asked. The school found that this reduced school skipping and it increased attendance. Children are also learning something really important doing this, and that's how to use pro-social strategies to get what they want. I hope some of the strategies that I've touched upon will be helpful. I'll finish by saying that KIS Consultancy can be helpful in supporting services with practices related to behaviour support. Consultancy time could be used to make observations, perhaps using the ABC chart that I mentioned, and to perhaps further understand the function of a child's behaviour. Services always say that fresh eyes on a situation is always helpful. If you want to request consultancy, you can either email myself or Liza at Uniting. Thank you for tuning in.